So joining me on the line today, I've got Steve Thomas from Thomas Services. Welcome to the call, Steve.
Thank you.
Maybe if you explain what you do so that the audience can get an understanding of where you fit in the market.
We're accountants for small and medium-sized enterprises, and we deal specifically in accountancy issues for business migrants and Australian expats.
Great. So obviously there's a big sort of pressure on these people right now with the borders all being closed. What sort of things are you seeing in the marketplace?
Well, a lot of people are having to spend large amounts of money just to travel between places to get home, which is really very unfortunate for the simple reason that the airlines are not helping them to get home at a reasonable cost.
Yeah.
So that affects business profitability, because if they're business travelers, then their businesses are short because they have little income.
So obviously this is putting huge financial pressure on those people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so that's the hard news. Do you see any opportunities in the marketplace as well?
Certainly. There's a lot of opportunities out there for online businesses, especially those who wish to go into the online field and really market themselves well.
Yeah. And you're feeling like even with the people who you're working with, which are mostly expats living in Australia, they're starting to see the transport costs as being inhibitive on business. It's almost forcing them to pivot into this online space, yeah?
Correct. And the online costs are coming down all the time.
Yeah. So do you think this is a change that'll reverse when things go back to normal, or do you think it's a permanent change?
I think it's a permanent change.
Yeah. And so based on that, I mean, you know, what's the way forward? So what do you think business owners should be focused on right now?
Basically, what they should be focused on is getting into the online space and really marketing themselves and their businesses out in the online space to promote and connect with customers and suppliers.
Yeah, very good. And let me ask you on a personal note, what sort of lessons have you had as a business owner during these times?
It's really important for us to get out there in the online world to connect with people through online forums and channels. If we don't, we wouldn't be here.
Right. So really just sort of keeping up with the times and recognizing the importance of being online.
Yeah. Yes.
Fantastic. So let me ask you, just on a bigger question, I haven't prepared you for this one. What's the best piece of business advice you've ever received?
The best piece of business advice I've ever received is, if you don't start at all, you can't be perfect because it doesn't exist.
Right. So really, you've got to just get moving.
That's right.
A good friend of mine once said, don't let perfection get in the way of progression. And,
exactly.
Exactly the same thing, right? And just really
thinking exactly. It's different words.
Yeah, brilliant. And let me ask you, do you read books in business at all?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Do you have one that sort of is a favourite of yours?
Favourite of mine is Rich Dad and Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah.
The reason being is it's trying to get people out of the mindset who read it from just being a POIG wage earner into an entrepreneur.
Right. So just thinking more like a business person than just a wage earner, which is a big difference.
That's right.
I think a lot of people are just self-employed, which is really just a job without security.
Yes.
And so that's a big distinction there. It's actually really interesting. It's one of my favourite of all time as well.
Yes.
I'll tell you a funny story. I had young kids. They're now 30 years old. And when my 30-year-old was 16 or 17, I tried to get him to read that book. And the only way I could get him to read it was to bribe him. So I offered him $100 to read it. And he took it.
That's good.
But I said, there's a catch. You have to explain every chapter in it to me over coffee. And he did it. He did it successfully, and I did it with 2 books. And by the 3rd book, he said, Dad, don't pay me $100 anymore. I said, why is that? He goes, well, I now realise what you're doing. He said, these books are worth a lot more than $100, aren't they?
Yes, they are, definitely.
Yeah,
the information in them is invaluable.
Yeah, fantastic. One last question for you, just for, if you had to give a person in business advice right now, what would it be?
persist. Just persist.
Yeah. So really just make sure you survive through this.
Yeah, hang in there and persist.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, Steve, look, thanks very much for your time. It's been great chatting.
Thank you.
All right, cheers.
No worries.